Hiya, so I'm going to be talking about a game I made back in year 10 with one of my best friends, Jonathan Martin, did all the art for this game, and we did get the music from a person called Mark Sparling. So yeah, thought it fit well. Okay, so check the instructions quickly, they're quite simple, and the levels do in fact go through them as well, so I'll go through the first couple levels. I should say this game was made for a week-long game jam, and this is the updated version. I'll go through some of the changes we made later and why we made them, and I'll go through some interesting concepts. So yeah, you can see we can move the level around here, and if we press play, you can see this little character and he moves automatically. So the idea is trying to like change the level to guide the character and get all the keys on the map. These keys don't move, they stay where they are, and yeah, get all the keys, get to the chest. That's how you finish the level. So yeah, you can see these two arrows correspond to this column. These two arrows correspond to the first row. Yeah, and you can see this little like kind of checkered grid behind shows you the cutoff points for them. So yeah, these first couple levels are quite simple. They just introduce you to the different things you can interact with. So yeah, I'll go through them. These little sucker punch things will change the direction of Go-Go here. Okay, so these little trampoline things, if you just run it, you'll see normally Go-Go falls straight down, but if he lands on a trampoline, yes, he gets projected in the direction he's facing. So yeah, that's one thing to think about. So the way you solve this level is you want to try and get this trampoline in this row here, but if we move it up, this one also moves. So we got to find a way to move it by itself, and that's how you can isolate this column here, so it's only this trampoline. So when we move it up, there we go, and then now we can move all four at once here. So yeah, this is where it starts getting really interesting, I would say. So quite another cool level, simple level. So here we can see another objects which are spikes, and they're pretty like uninteresting. Like you go into them and you die, can't get to the end. That's how they work. But this level does showcase quite an interesting concept, quite an important one. And it's the idea that we want to use these blocks here, or else Go-Go's gonna go through the floor and die at the end here. So, but we don't want to land in these spikes. So one thing we can do, move this little object up here. Spikes are above the line, blocks are below the line. So when we move to the left, it only moves the spikes. Now they've been separated. Very good. So yeah, we can move these spikes out of the way by going up, loops back round. Move these out of the way, and we can put the spikes safely down there. We can do the same for these blocks with spikes here. We just want to get rid of them. So yeah, so we moved them down here, but now we want to move these back down here, right? Well, what we can do the same thing as the last level, where we isolate these two in its own column. Move them back down, move these back, and would you look at that? We have won the video game. So these are the last type of objects you can interact with. So this is going to be the last level that I will show. They're quite simple. They just change the direction of gravity, so you can see. So yeah, these pop up in some of the levels. Yeah, quite interesting. Yeah, that's about it for the showcase or the introduction. So I'll go into some other details. Okay, so now we're at the second part of the video. I'm going to show what the original Game Jam version was. This came 11th out of like 130 submissions, and it was part of the Board Pixels Jam. So yeah. One thing you'll notice about it is that it's not actually that different, and you'll even see the first couple levels are basically identical. But you'll see here, the level that used to introduce the gravity flip blocks doesn't exist, and that's because gravity flip didn't exist in the original version. So yeah, another change is you'll see when I move these around. If I try and get an open path here, you'll see there's no reset button here, even though I've changed the level. And when Gogo dies, it actually reverts back to the start. And this was quite a common complaint among the people that played the game for the jam. So yeah, that's one of the things that we changed. Yeah, it would be quite frustrating if your progress got reset every time you got it wrong. So you can see why. So yeah, one of the biggest flaws about the original as well was the level design, because we made all of the levels on the final day in like 3 hours. So yeah, we didn't exactly think it through that well. But you can literally, a lot of these levels, you can literally just move them around and then like randomly, like you don't even have to think about it, and you'll find a pretty straight, easy path to the end. So yeah, levels aren't that hard. Yeah, by the way, if you get stuck in either of the versions, you can just press enter to skip the level. But yeah, you can see like this one as well is part of the new one, but it's put a bit earlier to introduce like splitting the blocks. Yeah, this one doesn't exist anymore. If we keep going, yeah. So now we're going to move on to some of the concepts. Okay, so before I get into the concepts, I'm just going to go through this level, which is pretty terrible actually. I would put this in again, but it does showcase quite an interesting thing, and that's that you can create like a loop, a singular loop kind of thing. So yeah, but this level doesn't have like much problem solving. It's pretty gimmicky, so yeah, wouldn't include it again. Anyway, this is the first concept, or like main concept I wanted to show, and it's the idea that okay, so we have these diagonal lines of blocks, but we want to like make them usable, so we want to make them flat, and one way you can do that is lining a block up to where 4 squares meet and doing this kind of like alternating motion. Yeah. So yeah, you can do that for all 4 of these. You can do it the other way as well, like this. So yeah. So I mean, to do this level, you do that for all of the diagonal lines, and then you put a trampoline on this one. So yeah, let's just show, let's put the trampoline on here, do that, there we go. Now I'm gonna move on to the next one though. Okay, so this one's quite similar, and what we're trying to do is convert this vertical line into a horizontal line, and you can do that by doing another alternating motion here. Yeah, so that's another one. So yeah, those 2 levels just introduce those 2 concepts, and there's another kind of like one-way loop here as well. There you go. Okay, so I'm gonna show maybe like 2 more things, and this one is where like you have to put the trampoline on this block here. So this is actually quite simple. Use the like 4 corners again, and then swivel it around. There we go. Okay, and then last one to think about really is if you have like say this these 3 blocks here, and you want to connect this block with a gap, then how would you do that? The answer is to have them in separate columns, and then now you can do that. And then if you want to create one bigger, do that, and then yeah, you can see how it's really flexible. But what this does mean is that for some of those gimmicky levels, you might find a solution that isn't like, I guess, intended. So you might not learn some of these concepts. So yeah, that's definitely a big flaw, but yeah, that's why I wanted to show them here. But yeah. Okay, so now we're actually in the Godot editor, and I wanted to show just one small thing. Really useful thing about Godot is that you can like edit the version you're testing while it's running. So what that allows me to do is show you how I achieved like this seamless transition where it loops around but it like slides in anyway. So if we turn off the walls out here, so if I make these invisible, and you can actually see what's behind them. You can also see the background as well as it loops over. But essentially how this works is the whole grid's stored in like a 2D list or array, and it's synced up with what you can see in the grid. So it knows that there's this little sucker puncher here, so it duplicates it here, and then when you move it to the right, you can see that move into the grid, and it gets copied over here. So yeah, that's essentially it. Yeah, that's how it works. Same for all 4 directions. You can see this is the original grid, this got duplicated. Keep going up, you can see all of these tiles get duplicated down here, so when you move up, seamlessly moves in. So I'm going to leave you guys with some gameplay in the background and some reflections. I look back at this project pretty fondly, and I think that's because it's a pretty finished and polished game. We incorporated a lot of feedback from the original to improve it, and going back and forth with my friend when making the game definitely built a lot of communication skills. If I were to further improve and work on it, I would definitely work on clarity, like having some kind of interactive tutorial level at the start that forces you to press certain arrows and then press the play button would be pretty helpful, because it's sort of hard to grasp the aim of the game just from written instructions. Yeah. Another massive thing is that we weren't level designers, so even with the updated version with all the new levels, they're not that good really. I think a cool thing to add would be some kind of level maker where you can make your own levels and share them, that kind of thing, but that would obviously take a lot of time. Either way, thank you for watching. I'm gonna upload 2 more videos to this project. I have an old time lapse of me actually making the game during the jam, and also I'm gonna upload a playthrough that I just did, and yeah, it's a hard game, so even for me it took a long time, like I said before. Anyway, I will see you.